What's good, y'all? It's your boy Thurg. Alright guys, so today I want to talk about something really interesting this science today, man. Recently, Sega has announced that they are giving us more Sonic Frontiers DLC, man. They give a roadmap. We're getting a bunch of brand new DLC content. I'm so excited. Brand new modes, a new story, and most excitingly, new playable characters, man. I'm so pumped. For the first time in like forever, dude. For the first time since, I guess you could say technically the Black Knight. Since the freaking Black Knight, we're finally getting other playable characters in a freaking 3D Sonic game that's not like, I know Shadow was in Forces, but he basically was just kind of like a reskin, sorta, with a little tweak, but it was basically Sonic. But we're finally getting this, man. We're getting playable Knuckles, Tails, Amy, and it seemed like Sage too. That's what the picture looked like. It seemed like we're getting those four playable. I'm not sure if Sage would be play. I don't know how they would make Sage to be playable. I guess. And guys, I'm just gonna say this right now. This whole video is gonna be like super spoily. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Sonic Frontiers, man, I am talking about the freaking DLC, by the way. Sorry about that. I am talking about the DLC, by the way. So obviously, guys. I am gonna actually be talking about some freaking spoilers. Excuse me. But I don't know how Sage, I guess Sage was technically a playable character for the final boss because you were shooting at the end or whatever. I guess that does count as it, but I don't know how else they're gonna make Sage playable. Are we gonna be able to control Titans? No, all the Titans are destroyed. I don't know how they're gonna make her playable. Or maybe they just showed her that because she's back. I don't know. But like, I'm freaking pumped. I don't know how they're going to handle Knuckles, Amy, and Tails in this. But my hopes are that they each come with their own skill tree. They get their own combat. And they do it, and they do all these characters justice in their combat. Because it would be horrible if we could have playable Knuckles and he can't fight. That would be awful. But basically what I wanted to do for this video was basically tell you, just talk about my predictions, my hopes, and I honestly see this DLC going two ways. The dark timeline and the good timeline. Okay, there you go. And first I want to talk about the dark timeline just to get the bad news out of the way. I don't think they will do this, but if you look at the DLC picture, you notice how they're still in their cyber ghost like forms. One thing I noticed, like I think a lot of people, I've heard like a lot of people say that they possibly did that so they don't spoil the game. But it's a Sonic game. Who didn't think that Sonic was going to free them at the end? I'm guessing maybe they did that because the game just came out and they're not trying to spoil the game that, oh yeah, they get freed from cyberspace or whatever like that. I guess that's just for that. But that picture is worrying me that they're still in their cyber ghost forms. So I have a feeling, I hope Sega doesn't do this, but what if for the DLC, the new story they're talking about is basically what were Tails and Knuckles and Amy and them up to as the story was going on? What were they doing during the story? I wonder also, because of how they talk about in cyberspace, basically they're talking about how while they're in there, they kind of like were facing their deepest insecurities and fears and stuff, I guess. And I wonder, are we going to have to battle our insecurities as Tails and Amy and Knuckles? Because each of the characters, they kind of struggled with their own like inner turmoil in the game. Like Amy, I think hers was like love. Her whole story was about love or something like that. So I guess it's like her fighting her I don't know what Amy's would be, because would hers be based on like love or something like that, or like is it? Are you going to fight like a bunch of like images of Sonic saying he hates you? He's like, I don't freaking love you, Amy. I hate you. You're ugly. Blah blah blah. Freaking Rouge is better. I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. Tails, I'm guessing Tails. I think his story could possibly be, you know, you're fighting, you're fighting all the like, you're fighting chaos and infinite. Like the infinite situation really like scarred Tails in the story, and I'm guessing you're going to be fighting or running away from images of infinite. And then Knuckles' whole story was, Knuckles' whole thing was he feels alone because he's the last living echidna. So I'm guessing he's going to relive he's going to relive his past, or he's going to watch his clan get wiped out, I'm guessing. I don't know. I hope they don't go this way. I really would be mad if they hyped up these playable characters and stories and it's just us in cyberspace. And I really pray to God that it's not like a Project Shadow thing in Sonic Forces where that junk was up, when that junk was like freaking over in 15 minutes, bro. I'm gonna be like livid. That's the dark timeline, is that their stories, the reason why they're in the cyber ghost forms is because you're basically, it's just this is what happened as Sonic was traveling and crap like that. I pray to God not. But my personal prediction, and what I personally hope happens, I personally hope that this new story is happening actually after the main story, because there's just so many answers we don't have. There's so much stuff they hyped up, and there's so much stuff like, it just, like, I love Sonic Frontiers. The story started off so great, but then it kind of just fumbled at the end. You can kind of tell, and I'm not here to say that this game's unfinished. I don't think this game is unfinished. I think this is a complete, satisfying game. I think it's worth the $60. It's a complete freaking game. It's a full game. I know people see a game getting DLC announced and then they think, oh, it's unfinished, the game's not finished, blah 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 blah. No, this game, excuse me, sorry with that, this game doesn't feel like a demo. It feels like an actual game. You can tell that Sega rushed them in moments and stuff like that, but it's an actual satisfactory game. But one thing I noticed is the conclusion. The ending of the game feels so like it felt like so underwhelming. It kind of went out with like a fizzle. It's like even the final boss was like disappointing. We really even though this chick, the end, talks to us throughout the whole game as a mysterious voice, she doesn't talk that much, and like she's not really a presence in the game as much. She's there, but you don't really get to know this character. Like, what's her motivation? Why should I like this character? Like, it's just such, it's like I feel like they're going to set this character up some more, because like I feel like the final, you fight her. Basically what happens is the fourth island just felt like a waste of time, because you just went on these towers, you freed the towers, you broke down the walls between dimensions, I guess. You freed her from her prison, and then she said, oh yeah, you freed me from my prison, mortal, I'm going to consume everything, evil. And like, so she does that, and then like Sonic becomes like corrupted and crap like that, but it lasts so shortly. It's like such a short sequence. All his friends do is just walk around his unmoving body. They hold hands through the power of friendship, for some freaking reason, Sonic's back, and then you fight like this underwhelming like Titan boss. You fight Supreme, but it was a Supreme disappointment. And then you do this like freaking like some bullet hell like final boss, and that final boss, to me, the boss didn't suck. It would have been a good boss in the other game. It's just disappointing when you're fighting when you fighting when Sonic like you go from like freaking Sonic picking up a freaking sword, like a 45-foot sword, and slicing giant alien robots in half, to freaking Galaga, bro. It's like, or Undertale. It's just so random. It's like, that's why I think for this DLC, I really do think they're going to continue on with the end. I don't think that's the end of the end. I'm sorry, guys. That wasn't intentional. I'm sorry. But it's like, it's just, there's so many answers. It's like, I really think this story, for example, is going to explain that really weird sign that we keep seeing in all the trailers. And then I think it's also going to explain, I think it's going to explain how the heck was Eggman able to revive Sage. And then another thing I'm wondering about is, I wonder, is Sage really Sage though, or did the end possess Sage, or is, like, at the end when you hear father, I wonder, is the end, like, is she pretending to be Sage and that's really the end, and Eggman's about to unleash the end again, or some crap like that? Because I think personally, with how the story's going to go, is I think how the story's actually going to go with this. So I'm just looking at the time, guys. I personally think that, like, how all Sonic friends want to go and just do their own little thing and not be independent, not to be dependent of Sonic. So I think we're gonna have that. You're gonna have Knuckles exploring the world, seeing the world. You're gonna have Tails doing his own little thing, even though Tails has actually done his own little thing on countless times. There's literally games. This dude literally has 2 games of him doing that. No, he has 3 games, or like Tails has like 3 of his own freaking games. Then he has his own story and adventure, which I think, in my opinion, that was the best characterization of the character, was that in 2. And I really like this. You have Tails doing his own thing, so I think we're gonna actually be able to play through that. And then Amy, I don't know how you would make Amy's story gameplay, because she's going around the world to see love. I'm guessing that everybody's going to do their own little shindig and everything, and then eventually they go see that something's wrong, like something weird is like happening, and that's gonna make them all like kind of, you know, come together later on, and they go fight the end again and stuff like that. Because it's like, there's no way, like, the end, I'm really thinking that the end, for those who are familiar with Kirby, there's Kirby Dreamland 2, Kirby Dreamland 3, and the Kirby Dreamland and Kirby in the Crystal Shards are known as the Dark Matter trilogy, because that's the overarching villain of that trilogy, is Dark Matter, and like 0-2 and stuff like that. So it has an overarching like villain for most of that like trilogy and stuff like that. And that's what I'm thinking. And at first I was thinking, okay, that's gonna be the end, because the end is the most powerful villain in the Sonic mythos so far, it seems like, because she's literally she's like the embodiment of death, to the point that, well, let me pull this tweet up, because it's a statement that Kishimoto, director of the game, said. So basically, I'm gonna read this. It's a tweet I'm gonna put on the screen. It's a tweet from Inazumag11, and he says, according to Kishimoto, the true physical appearance of the final boss hasn't been revealed, because it depends on how each one perceives what death looks like. What death would look like, excuse me. Sonic, Sage, and we see different things. Just to clarify, we see the entity as the moon, since the symbol of death is technically the moon in fiction. we never know what Sonic and Sage see. So that's what I was thinking, was the fact that how come it felt so weird how the final boss of this game, how you had all these epic kind of a lot of these like epic like action fights for bosses. I was wondering why we didn't do that, why that departure for that, because that's the strangest departure of gameplay I've seen in a Sonic final boss. So I'm guessing that this new form of the end that we're going to see, for starters, first of all, how would you team up? I don't understand how Sage and Sonic teamed up to fight a antagonist that they both perceive differently. So I don't understand that. They teamed up at the end of the fight. I don't understand that. I'm just so, that's just so strange. Like, didn't Sage like throw Sonic at that junk at the end, and Sonic went through the moon? So if we proceed, like, I don't understand that. And then another interesting thing I have is there was this leak last year. The leak is an old leak. I think the leak came out in 2019. It was some place tester. They played Sonic Frontiers early. This was like when everybody was calling it Sonic Rangers, or even before that, before we knew the game. So basically, it was a leak that predicted a lot of things correctly. How it was going to be like pseudo open world, not really open world, but it was going to be like an open zone stage. Basically, it was going to be like open zone gameplay, and it's going to have cyberspace, and they predicted Sage and all this stuff. And they predicted all this stuff correctly, except one thing that sticks out to me. The one thing they didn't predict correctly was freaking this tree boss. It was this tree boss they didn't predict correctly. And because that never happened. You don't fight a tree boss at the end. What you fight the Titans. But they were very, and but the leak was like, they said you fight a tree boss at the end of the game, and this little ghost girl is refilling your rings. So it has to be two things. First, one of all, they probably cut that boss and went with something else. Or another thing I'm thinking is maybe that's going to be DLC. Perhaps that cut boss, perhaps the end was supposed to show up as a tree. I don't know why Sonic would see death as a tree, but maybe he saw it as one. And he's fighting this thing like fisticuffs, and Sage is refilling his ring gauge. But then another thing I don't understand is, why would your ring gauge get refilled? Why would you have a character that refills your ring gauge during a supersonic fight? Because that's the challenge. That's how you die or lose in a supersonic fight. Supersonic doesn't take damage. It's basically you're on a timer. You gotta beat this boss on a freaking timer, because if Sonic runs out of rings, he loses the supersonic ability. And that's how you lose in these fights. So why would Sage keep refilling your rings, and then that tosses out the challenge of the fight? That's why I don't understand. I'm thinking maybe that was just maybe that was like a little beta boss just made for testing or something like that. That's what I am personally thinking with that, because that just sounds strange. But I'm just so curious where they're gonna take this, and I wonder, is this gonna be the end of the end? I gotta stop doing that. I wonder, because Sonic, if it's not, Sonic doesn't really like bringing back. Oh, they don't like to fester on villains for too long, unless it's Eggman, of course. But if you notice in a lot of games, Eggman kind of like he sets off the events of the game, but he's not like the final boss for a lot of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like back in the Genesis days, a lot of times Eggman like messes around. he sets off some freaking he sets off some events that can like destroy the world, that he awakens some ancient evil or some like scientific, or he set he set off like a bigger threat, basically like chaos, Dark Gaia, the Zetis in a way. So I wonder how is Eggman going to fit into this? And then with Sage, if that's really Sage and not the end. Sorry, I'm looking at my time. I'm just wondering also, because you can't kill her again. There's no way they're going to kill Sage again. There's no freaking way. Like everybody who played Frontiers knew off the rip that that she was going to sacrifice herself in the fight. We knew this was going to freaking happen, bro. For sure, we knew this was going to freaking happen, bro. But you can't do that mess again because then it's cheap. Look, I'm not gonna front. I'm gonna be real. Killing off Sage and then freaking reviving her. Now, they didn't even wait till Frontiers 2 to revive this chick. They revived her like in the credits, bro. So that just cheapens the death already. I'm like, why do this already? Like, why kill the character already if you go bring her back like 5 minutes later? And I'm happy she's back. I like the character. I think she's really cool. But I don't even know what the heck they're gonna do with Sage in the future if she survives after this DLC. Honestly, I think that's a topic for another video. This video is already long enough. That's a topic I'm gonna talk about for another video of what like if they're gonna make her the new Shadow or whatnot. But yeah, honestly, you know what? Knowing Sega, I'm kind of shocked they didn't force Sonic Team to shoehorn Shadow into this. That's what I'm kind of surprised about. But yeah, guys, those are just some like theories that I've had for this DLC, man. I personally think that it's going to be a continuation of the story. We're going to see what his friends are doing after Frontiers, and then they're going to like come together and fight this new evil. And I'm guessing also, because I'm sorry guys, I know I was about to finish, but people like how a lot of people were scared that they're just gonna be in the cyber stage levels and then they just go call it a day. But the main draw of Sonic Frontiers is not the cyberspace stages. The cyberspace stages are basically like they're a side thing. Basically, they're honestly a side thing. I beat this game without even beat like I didn't even do like half the cyberspace stages on my first playthrough of the story. I beat the game while doing like I think less than half of them. I swear to goodness, all you had to do was just beat all the missions in the cyberspace stage, and they gave you 7. And I think I unlocked it, all the Chaos Emerald vaults, I think probably after like 2 or 3 stages. 2 or 3 cyberspace stages like in the thing. I think I beat all the vault. I think I unlocked all the vaults after like 2 cyberspace stages, man. It's like they're not really a focus, and you could tell this because they just copied and pasted level design. It's not freaking focus. You can tell that they did their when they made these cyberspace stages, that they made their homework at the last possible second, bro. that's basically it, bro. They basically were trying to get their Bible homework done, and all they filled in the blank was either God or sin. They obviously rushed through these stages, so it's not focused. I don't think they would do that. There's no way that they would hype up these playable characters. Open zone is the focus of Sonic Frontiers. It's the focus, it's the bread and the butter of the game. In my opinion, it's the best part. So they're not going to sit there and do that to the players, I don't think. This is like the redeem game. I don't think they're trying to have bad press and disappoint fans. So I think you're going to actually use his friends in the open zone. For sure. So yeah, my predictions are this story is going to take place after the end. I gotta stop doing it. I promise it's not a pun, guys. And yeah, so I'm really excited. I am hopeful of where they're gonna take this. I didn't even think, I really wasn't even expecting this, and I hope Sage makes it out of this game. I really do. This is one of the coolest new characters they have introduced in a while. I'm not gonna lie, I really like this. She beats Zavok, so yeah. But if you guys tell me, guys, what you guys think is gonna happen with this DLC. Are you guys hopeful for it? In my opinion, 2023 cannot come soon enough. I'm just so freaking ready for this game, man, for this DLC. I'm just so happy that Sega's not done with this game yet. But guys, thank you so much for all the support. I know I'm been doing a bad job with upload. I'm trying to work more on that. I have so much new content coming up, especially with Sonic Frontiers. Just when I thought the Sonic Frontiers well dried up since the game is out, Papa Sega and Sonic team, they have blessed us. They have given us a second helping, baby, and I'm so ready for it. Alright guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. And as always, guys, stay blessed and stay good.
Da da